and today I am going to be reading Amelia Bedelia. I did no credit for this book. Because I was reading it. Today we are on Chapter 5, Crossing Leashes. Okay. As Amelia Bedelia headed out of the park toward Maple Street, she ran into a boy and his poodle. Just to be friendly, Amelia Bedelia said, "Nice dog." "Thanks," said the boy. "You've got a lot of nice dogs." Amelia Bedelia's pack of dogs strained. Here's a really cute picture of the boy and the dog. And the dogs. Okay. At their leashes, dragging her over to the poodle, the dogs let out yips of greeting and approval while they were sniffing and snuffling one another. Soon their leashes were completely tangled up. They were wrapped every which way around Amelia Bedelia's legs. It looked like some dog maypole dance, with Amelia Bedelia playing the part of the pole. "I think if I try to move, I'll probably fall over," said Amelia Bedelia, swaying from side to side. "They don't have a muscle," said the boy. He let go of the leash, commanded his poodle to sit. It actually sat and began to untangle Amelia Bedelia. "You must love dogs," he said. "I do," said Amelia Bedelia, "but these aren't mine. I'm just helping a friend who walks dogs for a business." "I should hire your friend," said the dog. "I love my dog, but I hate to walk him. Kids always make fun of me." "I saw what happened," said Amelia Bedelia. "I know those guys. Tomorrow..." Wait. Molly. What? Shh. "Tomorrow at school, I'll tell them to stop it." "No, don't do that," said the boy. "Having a girl come to my rescue would be even worse." "But I could help you," said Amelia Bedelia. "Who are you?" said the boy. "My name is Amelia Bedelia." As soon as she said it, she could tell by the look on his face that he heard her. His eyes lit up and he said, "Hey, I remember you. You were on TV. You got in trouble because of your lemonade stand." "That's me," said Amelia Bedelia. "I'm Charlie," said the boy. "What's your dog's name?" asked Amelia Bedelia. "This is Puree," said Charlie. Charlie motioned for Puree to come over and sit in front of Amelia Bedelia. Puree sat straight up and held out his paw for her to shake. Amelia Bedelia laughed as she shook Puree's paw. "What a nice firm paw shake," she said. Amelia Bedelia wasn't sure what to say next, so she asked a question. "I've never seen such a big poodle. Is Puree an economy size?" "He's a standard poodle," said Charlie. "Gosh," said Amelia Bedelia, "if Puree is a standard poodle, what does a special poodle look like?" "Standard is just a size," said Charlie. "It means he's the biggest type of poodle. It's his fancy haircut that makes him look even more gigantic and sometimes kind of silly. It's why I get teased sometimes when I walk him." "I have a great idea," said Amelia Bedelia. "Meet me here tomorrow. I'll walk Puree and you can walk these dogs, and that way no one will ever tease you anymore." Amelia Bedelia held out her hand. Charlie smiled as he took it and shook it, and said, "It's a deal. See you tomorrow." Amelia Bedelia walked down Maple Street. The tiny Puree strained at his leash when he spotted a jogger running toward them. The boxer ran to a man hitting a punching bag in his garage. The bearded collie belonged to the man with the beard. The husky spotted his owner next, but last but not least was a sweet Maltese. Amelia Bedelia had a lot to think about. As she walked home, she wondered about dogs and blind dates, and Charlie and Puree. Mostly she had wondered what kind of dog was right for her. And that's the end of the chapter. We're going to read one and maybe 2 more chapters. Okay, skates up. The next afternoon, Amelia Bedelia's mother looked out of the kitchen window. She said, "Storm clouds coming. It looks like it's going to rain cats and dogs." "I hope not," said Amelia Bedelia. "I'd hate to have a St. Beard fall on my head. Besides, I have to meet Deanna and Charlie in the park." Then take this umbrella, said her mother. Amelia Bedelia shook her head. This isn't big enough, she said. It couldn't save me from falling on a chihuahua. Don't worry about that, said Amelia Bedelia's father. Even if it rains cats and dogs, do you know the worst thing that could happen? Years of experience warned Amelia Bedelia not to ask, but she did anyway. No, Dad said. No, Dad, she said. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm glad you asked, said her dad. If it rains cats and dogs, you might step in a poodle. Her father began to chuckle to himself. Amelia Bedelia shuddered informally at the thought of stepping into puree. What? That's the worst joke I've ever heard, she said. Her dad snorted and laughed really loudly. It was so embarrassing. Amelia Bedelia's mother rolled her eyes. I hope you realize, honey, she said, that no one enjoys your jokes more than you do. Amelia Bedelia arrived at the park on time, even though her mom made her drag along a dumb umbrella. She waited for Deanna at the bench, where they always met, and Charlie Puree arrived a few minutes later. Hey, said Charlie, where are the dogs? I'm not sure, said Amelia Bedelia. Deanna's late. I'll call her later. I can still walk Puree for you if you want me to. Okay, said Charlie. Amelia Bedelia took Puree's leash, and they began to walk. She told Charlie about her dad's step in a poodle joke. Charlie laughed, and this time she did too. Actually, said Charlie, your dad's right. A long time ago, poodles were trained as hunting dogs. They were retrievers, and they splashed into ponds, and those puddles, that's how they got their name. Amelia Bedelia couldn't wait to tell her dad that. Maybe her dad was smarter than he thought he was. Up ahead, Amelia Bedelia saw the same bunch of skateboarders Charlie had ran into yesterday. They were hanging out right at the top of a long, steep hill. They were exactly where Amelia Bedelia, Charlie, and Puree were heading. The skateboarders remembered Puree and Charlie. They started to laugh and hoot. And the tall one put his fingers to his mouth to whistle, but Amelia Bedelia didn't give him a chance. She did what she did best. She asked a question. How do you ride one of those things? She hopped onto the deck of a skateboard and wobbled back and forth. Whoa, she yelled, waving her arms for balance with an umbrella in one hand and a Puree's leash on another. It's super easy, said one of the guys. Just head downhill and lean from side to side, like riding on a wave on a surfboard. Suddenly, a squirrel bounded by, hopping down the sidewalk. Puree took off after that squirrel like a rocket. The chase was on. Double O, yelled Amelia Bedelia. She squatted down to keep her balance as Puree pulled her behind. Puree may have looked slightly silly with his groomed and puffy coat, but under those puffy pom-poms there were strong, rippling muscles. He pulled Amelia Bedelia along with no trouble at all. The squirrel raced ahead, Puree barking happily. Chased the squirrel, and zipping behind them was Amelia Bedelia. Stop! Stop! Please stop! She hollered all the way down the hill. The long, steep sidewalk ended at the large circular fountain with a round pool that was deep enough for wading. In the center was a statue of a mermaid spit water into the sky. The mermaid reminded Amelia Bedelia of her mom spitting out her water at the dinner table. Even though she was scared, Amelia Bedelia began to giggle, then stopped. Amelia Bedelia was going so fast she couldn't jump off. She wished her mom could help her now. If she fell, she'd be one giant scab. She wished she'd asked that skateboarder another question. How do you stop? The squirrel zigzagged fiercely, but kept heading for the fountain. With Puree hot on his trail, Amelia Bedelia holding on for dear life, she leaned forward, from side to side, twisting and turning to keep her balance. Amelia Bedelia heard shouting. She looked over her shoulder and saw Charlie. He was leading the pack of skateboarders who were cheering her on. Look at her! She's carving like an expert. What a natural! She'll get hurt, yelled Charlie. Just then, the squirrel darted to the left. So did Puree, yanking the leash out of the Amelia Bedelia's hand. Now she was heading straight for the fountain. Amelia Bedelia leaned back. Pop went her umbrella, and it opened behind her and began to slow her. The front wheel of the skateboard jumped up onto the rim of the fountain. This spinning mermaid was the last thing Amelia Bedelia saw before she shut her eyes. Charlie and the skateboarder saw the front end of the skateboard just clear the edge of the fountain. Amelia Bedelia leaned forward toward the mermaid statue to catch her balance. Then she leaned forward as far as she could. She rode the trim of her fountain in a complete perfect circle. By the time that she came around to where she had started, the skateboard had ran out of steam. Amelia Bedelia jumped to the ground. The skateboarders and Charlie stood stunned in silence. Then they all let out a huge whoop and raced toward her. Charlie was the first to reach Amelia Bedelia. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I guess so," she said. The skateboarders went wild. They hoisted Amelia Bedelia onto their shoulders and carried her around and around the fountain. "You're amazing!" And that's where we're going to stop, even though it's not the last of the chapter, because it's been a long video. Bye, you guys! Also, you guys need to try these. They're so good. Bye.